Hey there, and welcome to Edisha at Support, an initiative taken by the Rana Group. Edisha offers trainings to students for competitive entrance examinations that's helpful for them to apply and study at top-notch universities, not only in India, but in the international locations too. This video is our continuation to the previous videos where we are getting in-depth understanding of this exam called as the Graduate Record Examination. In my previous videos, you would have seen me introducing you to this exam called as GRE, me introducing you to the section which is verbal reasoning. While today we are getting into introduction of the next section, which is quantitative ability or quantitative reasoning. Now, quantitative reasoning again is set of two sections. Both these sections are adaptive in nature, each section containing approximately 20 questions and with a time period of 35 minutes per section. Unlike our verbal ability, quantitative reasoning also has one aspect where we end up getting a support for certain questions by having online calculator, inbuilt calculator within the test platform, which for some students seems to be quite helpful. So let's understand this entire portion of quantitative ability or quantitative reasoning. Now, what is the purpose of giving a quantitative reasoning as one of the tests for for an entrance examination where people are writing this exam to get into a master's or a PhD program, right? Most of us ask, what is the reason behind giving such questions? So, number one, we need to understand certain things. When we look at top-notch universities, profiles and applicants come from across geography. Now, I may end up getting profile of someone who has done law, someone who has done science, someone who has done psychology, someone who has done engineering. So the profiles can vary in terms of not only the profession, but also the basic educational, angle to it. So if I want to test someone on a base platform, which is uniform across all the applicants, then I should test them in an area where they have all been there and done that. So quantitative reasoning becomes, or quantitative ability becomes one of the section where I can do this testing. Why? Because one, it tests your ability on basic mathematics skill, which we would have learned during our schooling days. Second, it tries to understand your elementary mathematical concept, your ability to reason quantitatively, your ability to solve using quantitative methods, and more than all of these, your understanding or your ability to have a good problem solving approach. And thus, quantitative reasoning becomes one of the major sections in a GRE exam. So what are the various testing areas? Well, there are typically four testing areas. One is arithmetic, one is algebra, one is geometry, and then we have data analysis. Now, what gets contained in these testing areas? When you look at arithmetic, questions on integers, fractions, exponents and roots, decimals, real numbers, ratio and percentages, profit and loss, these becomes those areas where arithmetic will start testing you, right? Including obviously time and work, time, speed, distance, averages, kind of a thing. Now, when it comes to algebra, we'll talk about more on equations. It can be linear and quadratic equation. Talk about functions and graphs. We talk about inequalities, coordinate geometry, algebraic expressions, including polynomials, and so on and so forth. Geometry, we all know, is all about triangles, circles, lines and angles, areas. So you have all these content which gets tested on your geometric side, the mensuration side as well as the geometry side. data analysis is very unique in these kinds of exams, because what universities want obviously is that they would like to pick those students who can understand data which is not given in an explained manner but given in a visual manner, in terms of graphs, in terms of data representation tables. So how good are you into interpreting this data and probably solving the questions? And thus you will find data analysis as very common questions in these exams, where the testing is done on graphical and numerical methods, data interpretation where the data is distributed and where you have to analyze, counting methods, and probability, right? Now, what are the various styles of questions in GRE? Like we saw, there were three styles in verbal. In GRE, you typically find four styles of questions coming in. The first style is a quantitative comparison, where two questions are given and you need to compare between the two questions which quantity is more, less, or equal, right? The second is a multi-choice question, the MCQs, where you have one answer choice out of options given to you, and you have to select the correct answer option based on the problem and based on your solution. You have MCQs where you have questions where there will be more than one answer option which may be right for that particular question. So for example, if someone says what is x square, if x square is equal to 4, what is x? Then you know that x can be plus or minus 4. So plus or minus 2, which means that you basically have two answer options coming into picture. So you will end up picking more than one answer option, right? So that's an MCQ where you have more than one answer option coming into picture. Numeric entry questions are, there are questions given to you where there is no answer option, but you will have to type in the answer depending on your solution and the final answer that you get, right? So each of these style has different methods of solving, which is very important because all these methods of solving will ensure complete two things. One is it'll ensure your speed, and second, it'll ensure your accuracy, where both of them is important in these competitive entrance examinations. Now, what are the various points that you should always look into? The mathematical symbols, terminologies, and conventions that is used in quantitative reasoning measure are those that are standard at a high school level. Means what? It means that whatever the basic learning that we have done, those basic learnings will not change. For example, if I say positive direction of a number line, it has to go from left to right, right? So when you say distances are non-negative. When you say prime numbers, you're talking about prime numbers greater than 1, right? So these are the basic things that will still hold when you're solving these. But so you can say that any assumption that you do towards a question becomes invalid, and all the characteristics and the concepts that you use for a question are not assumptions, right? Now, if there are any changes given in the way you look into a question, then that will be explicitly introduced in the entire question. Next, continuing. Along with the above informations that I said, there are certain things that will be provided in your direction for the exam. The numbers that are used are real numbers. The figures that lie is in a plane, unless and until it is specified, right? Geometrical figures like lines, circles, triangles, quadrilaterals are not necessarily drawn to a scale. So which means you do not have to sit and measure. You cannot sit and measure and saying, hey, this looks like a 1 centimeter length. This looks like a 2 centimeter length. No, it's not drawn to the scale, right? But that doesn't mean that a triangle can be assumed to be something else. No, a circle will be a circle, a triangle will be a triangle, right? You should assume, however, that lines shown as straight are straight, points on a line are in the order shown, and more generically, all geometrical objects are in relative positions shown, right? So you cannot move the position of the geometrical figure. So if I'm showcasing a figure in a coordinate geometry with X and Y plane in it, then you cannot move the figure, right, the way you want. Similar, so coordinate systems. So all these are directions which will be provided to you and which you have to keep in mind while you're solving the question, right? But saying that, these are just insights. These are not the reason why you score well or you score bad in quantitative reasoning. The reasons of scoring well and scoring bad completely depends on what kind of concepts I have learned, number one, and what kind of application do I do on these concepts, number two. So that's very important. And that's where we from Erisha will be helping you connect the dots, reach that height, whether you're taking a GRE, whether you're taking a GMAT, or any other competitive entrance examination, you will be able to scale that score of yours because of experts at Arisha helping you day in and day out. So we will continue the entire video. The next video, we will now get into each styles, look at the insights of styles with example, and understand how quantitative reasoning or quantitative ability will help us in scoring maximum marks in a GRE examination. In case you have any doubts, you are free to visit our website edusupport.in, or you can write to us or call us on the number given on your screen. We'll be more than happy to support you. Signing off from this video, my name is Anant Acharya, Chief Trainer and Mentor at EduSupport, Erisha EduSupport, helping you reach the heights that you always wanted to. Thank you.